from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. This is the third time I started this video because I've got onto two completely bizarre tangents. the first two attempts, right? And I got like 2-3 minutes in. I realized talking about 1970s porn at one point. Which is, the last porn that I really... For me, porn is always like trapped in amber in the 1970s, right? But I digress. Actually, if I saw porn today in modern, I wouldn't know what to do. I would like, does it have good production values? I'll be like, what? No, I don't understand. Anyway, that was one cul-de-sac I went down, and then I went on. I kept going. I'm doing it again. Okay. Hi, my name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Like, share, subscribe. See, I'm cutting everything out and just going straight to the video. Like, share, subscribe, comment. We are doing another Chris Chibnall video. Why are we doing another Chris Chibnall video? Because they keep talking about Chris Chibnall, right? Well, they keep savaging Chris Chibnall. And honestly, I think it's a bit much at this point. Like, let's move on already. Yeah, no, it was awful. He did a terrible job. It's over. Right? It's over. There you get my oi-ois right. But no, they still have articles savaging him. We have two. If I get both of them, I'll be quite impressed. But they are dying down, right? They really is dying, which is good news. It's, before... bad analogy. Before the age of these incredible advancements in science, if you're a man of my age, if you are lucky enough to get an erection, what you would normally do is just massage it back to sleep quietly, right? That would be that. Then came along Viagra and everything changed, but that's essentially how the Chris Chibnall era is going. It's just it's kind of a pathetic erection that's slowly being massaged back to sleep. Yeah, it's getting less and less hard. Look, you can tell on my channel by looking at the videos. I have the propensity of videos being excited about the new era is far outweighing the stuff analyzing and trashing Chibnall. It really, I'm just guided by what's in the media. That's essentially what's going on. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. All those things are good, right? All those things are fantastic. Thank you very much. I am very grateful for you doing all those things. As I said, we got some more Chris Chibnall flagellation to go over, right? Listen, if you like it, let me know. Chris Chibnall, if you're watching, if you get on this stuff, you get off on this stuff, let me know. I'm actually intrigued, right? I don't think I've ever seen anybody so publicly fail so viscerally without being protected by the media. I mean, look, you got people like Biden who's like failing on a much bigger level, or what's his name, Rishi Sindh. I still can never remember the name of the bloody prime minister. Like, it's just failing on massive levels, right? Chris Chibnall also failed, but is it on a bigger level? Well, it's causing less human misery and destruction, I guess. So, vaguely. But the difference with well, at least with Biden, I have no idea what the press is like in England, but at least with Biden, they just pretend none of it's happening. Chibnall does not get the same, consideration, sadly for him. And honestly, I know he destroyed Doctor Who. I know he was arrogant and disgusting. I know he brought in a terrible element in fandom that were just hateful and hated anybody. I know all that stuff, but I'm still, compassionate human being. It's enough already. I hope he gets another job, right? I hope he's able to sell things, because, oh boy, he finished Doctor Who a while ago and there is nothing announced, right? I mean, I understand. He said he had to go and help his children with their O-levels or GCSEs or whatever stupid thing they call it today, right? I know he said, and Chris, you didn't, mate, you didn't, but they're over now. Summer's a long time gone. They got the results. Hopefully they didn't listen to you and they did quite well. I just hope he's got more work. I mean, it'll be interesting if he did some like crowdfunding things to see if he got backing. I'm not sure he would. Right? Really, I'm not sure. I mean, you got his demographic, the crazy Jodie fans. They don't normally spend money and they don't have much of it, right? It's been a weird group to court, but that's the group they did. Anyway, I do hope he gets another job because, It's not looking good for him, right? This has not been the best PR time for him, I think it'd be fair to say. Fine, like, share, subscribe, comment, all those things are fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Follow me on Instagram. The link is in the notes, assuming I remember to put it in. But follow me on Instagram. My Instagram, fantastic. Listen, I have a very high opinion on pretty much everything I do. I do. You know why? Because it's all awesome, baby. Like, I can only tell you the truth. And when I do something, I go, man, that's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome, awesome. Very, very awesome. You know what I'm hoping I have time to do today? I want to do 2 bits of digital art. I got one that's really nearly done, and another one which I want to do from the new Tom Baker photo shoot, so that came out about a week ago. That'll be fantastic. I will put that on my Substack. My Substack is my email newsletter. I put a bunch of stuff on it, right? Basically my content, but I put other stuff on it as well. I normally put in like one of the Virgin New Adventures or the Eighth Doctor Adventures, the books that are firmly out of print. And honestly, I wish they would print like a Virgin Adventures reader. You have like 4 or 5 of them together, like they did with the Terrence Dicks books. I think they could do that on like a larger format thing. It just seems such a shame they're being lost to time, to the ether. It's so strange, but yeah, they are. And it was a great era. It was somewhat of my era, so I like it. So anyway, I give those out. I give old articles in Doctor Who magazine, all kinds of stuff. I put on my Substack. And it's free, baby. It's free, so go sign up for it. Again, in the video notes, unless you sign up for the paid one, which isn't free. It's like $5 a month. Okay, and you don't really get much more for it, right? Hopefully, I'm hoping this week might be the week. I also got a short story that I'm writing. Short story. It's about 3,000 or 4,000 words long right now. I'm writing for Dr. Alex's new book, be season 14. Where do I have the other volumes here around me? I thought here we go. This is what seasoned. This is season 13, right? Which I love these books. I absolutely adore these books. So they're alternate 12th Doctor stories, which I think are just great. I really like. So I'm writing one of those, right? So that I'll put on my Substack as well, right? I'll put a bunch of. If ever they develop an AI art engine that's tailored for comics, then. Man, it's so close. Anybody could do it right now, right? There should be a bit of software that they have. They could even do it online where you could design the look of your page. You can pick the artist, say you wanted to emulate. You can make your characters as like simple avatars, right? Put them into position and then click generate, right? And you should be able to get like an incredible Jim Lee page. That'll be awesome, right? Jim Lee, they're both there. That'll be awesome. And I would be doing a lot of comic books. If that being the case, I would do a lot of comic book art, comic books with that. But anyway, I'm waiting for technology to catch up to my my rampacious desires. Also with rampacious desires, of course, is Chris Chibnall. As I said, like, share, subscribe, comment, Substack. We covered everything. Instagram. Let's read this article. The power of the Doctor shows Chris Chibnall's greatest flaw. I thought there's flaws. There's only one. Dude, there are a lot of flaws in Chris Chibnall. He is like Grace Brothers, baby. You can go right up to the 20th floor. There's a lot of them about, right? A lot of them about. Chris Chibnall's era of Doctor Who has been polarizing. You know what? Has it though? Has it? We've had the social media reaction to it, which is like, oh, it's the best thing ever! And if anybody doesn't like it, they're icky wicky bigot. Oh, icky wicky bigots everywhere! Right, no, which I'm not sure is the overwhelming response. We're just seeing right now, I'm recording this on December the 5th. It's probably going to go out on Wednesday, so it's Monday. That'll be the 7th, right? So we're just seeing all these documents dropped by Elon Musk at Twitter, which shows what we all knew, right? How your speech was curtailed if you had the wrong politics, and how they worked with one ideological side of the aisle to silence the other ideological side of the aisle. I don't think it was that polarizing, right? I think that I think that most people came into it with an open mind. I like to think I'm like a relatively representative of a person in fandom, right? I came in with an open mind. I wanted to like it. I tried to like it, right? I even got through Rosa. I got through Arachnids in the UK, and I was like, hey, it might get better. It might get better. But once you get through Arachnids in the UK and you're still open-minded, you're open-minded, right? Arachnids in the UK is garbage, as is Rosa. But I remained open-minded throughout, and they just didn't deliver, right? That's the bottom line. They just did not deliver, which is somewhat sad, but also true, right? Absolutely true. So I'm not sure how polarizing it was. I think by the time he reached the end, most people hated it. And I still think by the time he reached the end, that was by far his best work. Maybe if he had another 40 years making Doctor Who, he might make a good episode by mistake. I don't want to find out. I don't want to live in that reality. That sounds awful. I deny that reality. Yes, I do. But his final episode showed one of his greatest flaws that plagued his tenure as showrunner. Well, is it talking about Jodie Whittaker? That's one of his greatest bloody flaws. Or is it talking about his writing? Another one of his greatest flaws. Or is it talking about his marketing? Another one of his greatest flaws. What are they thinking is his greatest flaw? I am intrigued to find out. Let's find out. Another era of Doctor Who has come to an end. Yes! Yes! It's over! It's over! Man, I feel like those Jews liberated from concentration camps, and starting a new life in Israel in the late 40s, right? Yes! We've been liberated! Oh, it's over. It's a bit of a dark analogy, but what I somewhat stand by. Another era of Doctor Who has come to an end, yes, with the latest special. I think we're using special not in the way it's normally used. I think more in a special school sort of way, right? That sounds more likely. Latest special, the power of the Doctor. What was the power of the Doctor? We don't know. They never mentioned it, right? Power of the Doctor to not be in her own episode much, which made it a lot better, quite frankly. Depicting showrunner Chris Chibnall's greatest flaw during this time as the steward of the TARDIS. While Chibnall's iteration of Doctor Who has given the show many strong episodes. One! Name me one! You lying cunt! Name me one very strong episode. Which one? Come on, which one do you want to say? Rosa? Unwatchable piece of shit. Well, the witch hunters, was it? Witch finders, whatever it's called. Unwatchable piece of shit. The Battle of whatever it is. Unwatchable piece of shit, okay? Spyfall, unwatchable piece of shit. Timeless Children, unwatchable piece of shit. Future of the Jadoon, unwatchable piece of shit. How do I know these are unwatchable pieces of shit? Because I've watched them. Against all odds, right? It's like squaring a circle. I actually watched them more than once, okay? These are unwatchable pieces of shit, right? It is. It's so bad, I'm surprised that watching Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who isn't on a porn site as a sexual fetish. Because, there's a lot of weird stuff about today, mate. There's a lot of weird stuff about. I don't see anything being strange. Listen, once you get bears in bondage outfits, I don't think getting off on watching Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who is that much weirder. Do you? I don't. I really don't. But then again, I'm cursed with sanity, so that's my problem living in 2022, and it really is. Oh my God, it really is my problem. So what is this greatest of? Chris Chibnall has given many strong episodes. One, name me one. Okay, just one. No. And performances. I say strong episodes. The best he got was episodes that weren't awful, right? Weren't awful. And many strong performances. Now, I'm going to agree with them there. There were some strong performances because you had Bradley Walsh seem like a human being and a character, whereas nobody else did. And it was the same writing for all of them. I just think he imbued it with humanity and character. That's probably what it was. They had Captain Jack. It was kind of an average performance, but it's always fun to see John Barrow. Man, I saw this thing he put on Instagram for a Christmas party on Friday the 23rd in Palm Springs. If I wasn't Jewish, because it's Friday, so I can't go on Sabbath, I would so insanely go to that. That sounds fabulous. It sounds absolutely fabulous. Oh, that means Christmas is going to be on Sunday this year. That's nice. I'll do a Christmas show. Yeah, I'll do a Christmas show after the Queen's speech. Before the after. Well, I have to see what's on. You know what's on Christmas? Nothing, mate. Absolutely nothing. It's just garbage this year. So funny. Strong episodes and performances. Not so much. I kind of like what's his name as well. Ray McNally as Jellicoe. Again, that seemed like a character, right? And if you can have something that seems like a character in a Chris Chibnall run and written episode, I think that's like an incredibly great performance, right? An incredibly great performance. From both the 13th Doctor. Never, at no time ever, did Jodie Whittaker ever develop anything coming close to a competent performance, let alone a great performance. Never, didn't they? And her companions, Bradley Walsh, okay. Mandip Gill's superpower was to make Jodie look slightly less shit. She made Jodie look slightly less shit because she used all of her acting powers to look like a scowling, I don't know what she was supposed to look like. A block of wood. She was just awful. They tried to do the same kind of like bromance they did with Jamie in the Second Doctor and failed. Why am I saying it? Listen, it's the 13th Doctor story. Why do I need to say it failed? That's implicit in saying it's the 13th Doctor story. Commander. His era has been polarizing to fans. Again, I'm not sure how really polarizing it's been. I mean, it's polarizing if you, count the opinions the way they count votes in an American election nowadays, right? Where, weirdly enough, the overwhelming majority seems to be getting slightly less votes than the tiny minority, right? I wonder how that could be happening. It certainly can't be ballot harvesting. That would just be crazy. I had a weird instant yesterday, right? I talked about politics a little bit on a live stream and clipped it out. Politics and religion, right? On a live stream, clipped it out and made a video about it. Of it called "How Trump." The only way I think Trump could win 2024, right? Again, it's not, I don't want to be like heavily political here, but or religious here. But that was and so this one person was so mad they made this like lengthy comment, and they thought they were really, really smart, right? So I just gave them like I didn't want to like tear them apart, right? Whenever I engage in somebody about politics nowadays, I try and avoid it because it's punching down. Like, what are you proudest of? The destruction of the economy, the opening up of the southern border, the destruction of the Western world, or all the tranny underage surgeries? Which one are you want to highlight as a biggest success? So I just like kind of like was a little one, and then they wrote an even longer like diatribe. So I'm like, okay then. I replied. I actually gave a real reply, and then they vanished. It's a polarizing. I don't know, bloody polarizing. The strong reactions to the 13th Doctor series can be boiled down to the plot structure of the Chibnall's era. No, it can be boiled down to the miscasting of Jodie Whittaker and the terrible writing of Chris Chibnall. Right? Nothing else, right? It boiled down to that, really. Right? Or if you wanted to boil it down to was Chris Chibnall, responsible for everything, failed at everything, right? The plot structure. So what do they think is wrong with the plot structure? Which often included the flaw that was on full display in Power of the Doctor. I mean, honestly, if you want to lambast anything about trying to work out a plot or something, in retrospect, that I watched. What one was it? Matt Smith Christmas episode recently, The Doctor, Widow and the Wardrobe, right? Which I thought there was another one called The Caretaker, right? And that was that one. I got confused. the plot for that really isn't very good, right? Okay, just as an outside, the plot is that the Doctor, we had a great set piece at the beginning, right? The Doctor falls from a spaceship and grabs a spaceship, a spacesuit, right? And he falls to Earth, but he puts the helmet on backwards so he can't see out. And Madge Allwell, played by I can't remember, finds him and takes him to the TARDIS, right, and saves him. So then, several years later, when her husband is a World War II bomber pilot, right, and he's about to crash and dies, right, crashes and dies. So then he somehow he takes over that woman's house that she's going to stay at for Christmas. She doesn't want to tell the kids that their father died because that will make it always tied to Christmas. So she's going to go through it silently, right? So the Doctor to thank this woman for this like reasonably small act of kindness, but okay, does all this incredible stuff, makes all makes everything fantastic for the kids, and has this giant box which gives them a portal into a different world, which is very Christmassy, right? Happens to be that portal on the different world is being unbeknownst to the Doctor, is being mined somehow or something by Androzani, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the trees who are sentient need Madgel again to survive, and because of that, they go into the time vortex. And they find her husband, and they all come home, and it makes no bloody sense. But it survives completely on Matt Smith's charm, right? But you know, you can have badly plotted Doctor Who, which doesn't really make much sense in hindsight, right? Which ultimately works, right? Not this stuff, no, none of this. Again, you got Jodie Whittaker, the significant drag factor that is Jodie Whittaker, the horror of Jodie Whittaker. None can contest that Chibnall is a long-time Doctor Who fan, and his decisions for the show came from a place of passion and interest. I contest that. What do you mean? No, I'm contesting it, right? Who is this? Who's writing this? Okay, Alex Keenan. I am contesting that. Consider that contested. I think he is a pathetic little talentless shill who's been able to hide that mostly from himself his entire career. But Doctor Who is a show that finds you out, right? And when you have no ability, when you have no talent, you fill it in with modernity. I think it should be a fair word. So in the 80s when they did that, which I think that's fair, Eric Saywood, he had no idea what to do with Colin Baker, just none whatsoever, and he filled it in with like sex and violence, essentially, right? Which was really inappropriate, but mostly violence, right? Filled it in with violence. Chris Chibnall did the same thing with identity politics, and it was just vacant and empty, right? So I don't think his passion and interest for the show really won through in any way, shape, or form. I mean, given the intense damage that it did to it and his career, I would say that's a questionable statement to make. Once he appeared on TV as a representative of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, and was a sniveling little git then too. However, Chris Chibnall's fan status of the Doctor, and apparently he was a total twat about that, of the Doctor, became one of his became one of his greatest flaws at the helm of his series. No, his greatest flaw was his lack of ability to write, right? Which is somewhat important for a writer. I mean, that's absolutely his greatest flaw. Yeah, his lack of ability to do the job that he was employed to do. However, the BBC loved it. I think it's so shitty the BBC are just letting him take all the blame. And I really hope they give him another gig, because, man, it's just not fair, is it? It's just not fair. Has it tied Chibnall more strongly to the classic Doctor Who than to the new season? No, this is all just bollocks that you're telling yourself. I don't know, in a desperate attempt to try and explain how you are so incredibly wrong. Look, I'm going to help you out. How were you so incredibly wrong? Because, the heart is the captain of the ship, right? And you were very, very passionate, and you believe very strongly that Brexit and Donald Trump were an expression of racism, right? Expression of white supremacy, white supremacy. Oh, what out for those supremacists, especially the white ones, right? They were so convinced of it, and it was just nonsense, right? So that's what I think opened you up to this weird tribal world where anybody who didn't agree with you was a racist, right? And that's how we got to the situation where they went, oh my God, this Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker is really badly written. They just said, I hate black people and gay people, right? That's all they heard, right? And that's certainly how they acted, right? Yeah. So I think you're being insanely disingenuous here. So Hoblinger's ability to tap to the 2005 relaunch. The show runs nostalgia for the older version of the show, added to the dissonance some viewers felt while watching the 13th Doctor era. No, that's not no. The dissonance they felt with it is the dissonance they felt with the majority of the BBC's output, that it doesn't reflect them, right? And entertainment needs to be able to reflect the world it's entertaining. That's one of the reasons looking at Shakespearean work is so interesting, because obviously you have the incredible wordsmith, right, and talent like shining out throughout, right. But also you get an idea of what the world was he was talking to, and that world wasn't very dissimilar to ours. It really wasn't. I find that fascinating. But the 13th Doctor era, along with again much of TV, doesn't talk to the audience that was entertaining. In which way? Well, it had a lot of weird ideas about identity, right? It felt that, thinking that the gender and sex being binary was just a backward-looking concept that, we're moving past from now. And that's just not true. It's a cornerstone of human beings' identity. We're not fluid, right? I understand that some people are fluid, right? But not every. I would say, like, an ongoing insanity we have in the world. I saw this over Sabbath when I was talking with my kids about remote learning and remote working. I think it's just, I don't think it's good for society. I think it's good that Twitter, they're stopping them being able to do it. And my kids were like, no! And my kids are all older, right? They're all in like their 20s. Their kids were like, no, some people need remote learning. It's not fair for them. I understand, because there's a teeny tiny minority of people that find something beneficial. I get it, but you shouldn't reshape the entire of society around that teeny tiny minority. Right, which is what Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who did. Now, also, it very much wrote for something called the progressive stack, which meant if you weren't white or male, depending how much more Twitter at the time had told you were oppressed, the more saintly and virtuous you had to be, and the less anything bad could happen to you. So, because there are all these contradictory rules, he actually got in trouble with that in the first special. He introduced a character to go, hello, I'm a homosexual. Oh no, I'm being killed by a Dalek. That was essentially his role, right? And so everyone was mad about him. That people like me were like, man, that seems like really empty tokenism, and people on board for that were like, how dare you kill a gay person? You must hate gay people. Do you like Donald Trump? Ah! Right? And that again, they're insane. They are insane. Fine, so where are we up to? It's nothing to do with his love of classic Who, right? The dissonance they felt was it doesn't reflect them, right? It does. What's the percentage of black people in the world, in Western civilizations? Well, around 10%. I think it's lower than that. But we'll say around 10%, right? Virtually, I just saw a poster for the Netflix's new Witcher: The Origins, and what a shock! It had a black woman with a big sword at the center, right? What was Chibnall's big innovation for Doctor Who? To put a black woman with a big gun at the center. It's like over and over and over and over and over again, but when it doesn't reflect the world you're in, this isn't, oh no, there are black people on TV. No. There is no world that I recognize being projected back to me on TV, right? Have you seen Star Trek Discovery? Have you ever lived in a world which is mostly dominated by women, and they're all stunning and brave and the bestest ever, and yet still completely incompetent at the same time? It doesn't reflect reality, which is the main reason people switched off from this Doctor Who, because there was no resonance with it. It disconnected from the audience. So far, the Doctor. While watching the 13th Doctor and the Power of Doctor, as it felt disconnected from the recent developments. Well, if that's a whole different issue. It felt disconnected from recent developments because the recent developments were a complete disaster. And so the BBC said, you know that we told you to make this, a super liberal progressive, right? To have somebody with a vagina fly the TARDIS, because that's the only thing that matters. Them having a vagina. Thank God they had a vagina, so that so they can fly the that was what it was all based around, right? They said, "Do you remember we told you to do that?" He said, "Yeah, remember you did that." And do you remember when we said you did a great job? Doctor Who is in the best state editorially ever, said Piers Wenger. Do you remember that? Yeah, we were wrong, and we need you to just take everything out. Don't talk about the Timeless Children. That Fob Watch thing, forget about it. Yeah, Doctor Who, bring it back as a hologram, if anything, right? I don't know what to do. Phasmin, wink to it and go away, right? Everything he did failed. So they told him, remove everything he did. This wasn't his love of classic Doctor Who talking. This was his bosses at the BBC saying, you've followed our instructions to the letter, and you have done shit. So it's not our fault, it's your fault. That's how the BBC works. Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who has been shaped by too much classic Who. No, I wish it had, mate. Wish it had. One of the biggest plot elements of Chris Chibnall's contribution to Doctor Who canon is the Timeless Child. Completely forgotten, retconned away forever, like the Teletubby Daleks and half-human on his mother's side. Completely forgotten. Bye-bye. And that's if it's not going to be just outwardly, openly retconned away from reality, which is what I'm really hoping. There's a time the plot element that reveals the Doctor is actually from another universe and whose infinite regenerations are a template for timeless society, destroying the character, making it boring as hell, right? Functionally immortal and just dull, very, very dull. But this story element was shaped by Doctor Who when episodes from the Fourth Doctor and Seventh Doctor eras planted seeds of the Timeless Child. This is just like insane picking at straws to try and work out and justify something that's completely and totally failed. Oh my God. Planted the seeds of the Timeless Child, suggesting that the classic the classic First Doctor was not the character's first face in canon. And there have been more to the character overall. By the way, was the more to the character overall predominantly not white and male? Do you think that might have been the motivation behind it? Do you think? Maybe. I don't know. Could be. It is. However, those elements don't work well with the emotional direction taken by the new series. They don't work well at all. Right, they don't work well at all. In the newer seasons, the Doctor's magnetism and mystery came from their actions and personality. Now, the Doctor's title of the Oncoming Storm, which came from the Virgin New Adventures, stems from the actions in the Time War. No, fucking idiot, no. He was called the Oncoming Storm by the Daleks. The Carfaric Inti, I think, is a Dalek expression, right? I think it was invented by Kate Orman or Ben Aronovich. I can't remember which one. But no, you're wrong. You're wrong, and you're an idiot. Severus action in Time Wars and loss of his home planet. No. With his further adventures adding to that reputation. Older Doctor Who lore detracts from this new direction, making Chibnall's reference to it feel redundant. What? Again, it's like dealing with somebody with a lattice work of like lies upon lies upon lies upon misunderstandings upon lies upon lies to make this like utter nonsense. The Powerful Doctor focuses on nostalgia for classic Doctor Who because that's all we had. Everybody hated his era. His era completely failed. You were wrong, right? I know that's a word you can't really understand. What's that? You were wrong. You were wrong, okay? That's where you're stuck. You were wrong. Chibnall's penchant for classic Doctor Who nostalgia is very visible in The Power of the Doctor. It's the only thing he freaking had, okay? It's the only thing he had. To this, the specials, detriment. Oh, so much better. Oh, special detriment. No, that was the best bit of the specials. The bit he ripped. Okay, the best bit of Power of the Doctors was seeing anybody other than Jodie Whittaker, seeing the other Doctors. Yes, we all like that bit. Other than it was with Jodie Whittaker, and Session 1 being the Doctor as opposed to Jodie Whittaker, right? That was the strongest stuff, right? Oh, and the whole Master Rasputin thing, and Session 1's Master actually had a masterly plan for once, right? For from the many cameos from former characters, including not just old Doctors, but previous companions such as Ace, Joe Jones, and Ian Cheston. I have to tell you, again, Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who was a relentless disaster. It failed on so many levels. It got better as it went along, and the stuff he wrote to bring in the old Doctors and the old companions, which seemed to really feel right for a centenary episode. I thought that stuff really worked, right? There's one time he had an idea that wasn't awful. Okay, but no, they're not good enough for him. Chibnall's reference for classic Doctor Who is evident. No, it's not, because he took a shit on it. Idiot. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like saying Hitler's reference for the Jews is evident. No, it isn't, right? No, it isn't. Even with the 13th Doctor finale acting as a centennial episode of the show, the overabundance of callbacks to older cast largely outsized Doctor Who's present. Yeah, yes, Doctor Who's present is unwatchable garbage. Do you remember that's where we started? It's unwatchable garbage. Do you remember you said, what is it, at the top you said this. Chris Chibnall's iteration of Doctor Who has given many strong episodes, and performances, right? It hasn't done any of those things. It's just totally, utterly failed. Oh, I mean, it's made you look like a schmuck and make me look good. I mean, there is that. So, thank you. Fine. Largely outside the presence, making the special celebration of the show as it was intended, instead of a celebration of the story in its entirety. Yeah, again, the story is awful, right? The bias towards older generations of the show is telling, in that there were no cameos of the 2005 onwards Doctors until I think that's like Russell T Davies told them not to do. Right? They actually said that. Don't touch modern Doctor Who. Right? I think Russell T Davies, there was an edict, right? Don't do that. Until David Tennant at the very end giving a new iteration of the show far less weight in the special. Did you not notice the complete failure of the current iteration of Doctor Who, Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who? Did you not notice the ratings lost 85% of their audience? That's not like you want to say, well, we did a good job. No, you did a terrible job, right? A terrible job. Why? Because it, as I said, completely disconnected from the audience it was trying to entertain. It was trying to entertain it as well. It was just trying to lecture it badly. Where are we up to? Additionally, the Power of the Doctor did not provide the same gravitas to the story decisions made by earlier seasons of the new show. Again, they made garbage, right? Now, and earlier they made good Doctor Who. It's not hard to work out. As if it focused more on calling back classic villains and developing consequences of recent Doctor Who events, such as the Doctor's name. What? Don't start with the Doctor's name. God, I must have slept through that. Again, the recent events of Doctor Who were an utter, complete failure. They were very noticeable by the absence. Yes, I did notice their absence too, but you know why I noticed their absence? Because it failed. Yeah, how else can you explain this to you? Ultimately, these casting story decisions made the 13th final performance less about her and the rebirth of the show, but about honoring the show's past. Yes, again, it's because her era was a complete failure. Are you not noticing that, right? Are you really not picking up on that? I don't think he is. It pulled attention and screen time away from the story that should have fully tied up Whittaker's time as a Doctor, further elevating classic Doctor Who over recent seasons. Yeah, I understand that. But again, yeah, the thing yes, you are noticing something correctly. That did definitely happen. However, I don't think you've really put two and two together about why that happened. Furthermore, we got Chris Chibnall's Doctor Who look backwards, not forwards. A big mistake. Yeah, well, no, it didn't look at its present. Its present was garbage. That's why. Furthermore, beyond the heavily nostalgic special Power of the Doctor, much of Chibnall's era looked backwards instead of forwards, such as with the Timeless Child plot. No, it looked backwards in that they wanted to take a shit on and destroy Doctor Who, I guess, right? Burn the past. Destroy it if you have to. This detraction on the 13th Doctor's potential adventures, as many as Chibnall's episodes and the Timeless Child plot itself, didn't give 13 recalls to explore new elements of the show, new elements of herself or the universe. In this case, the plot twist only recontextualized events that had already happened to her. Yeah, I mean, they did this whole thing, and then they said, "Oh, but it doesn't matter. Nothing's changed." Yeah, then why change it? You changed it again, so because you're a racist and you think that you're a racist and an idiot, and you think black people can't relate to something unless they're also black people, right? Here's a weird thing that you should try and understand, and I think most liberals don't really get this. Black people are in fact people. They're not tokens for you to use to feel good about yourself. You know, it's the Black Little Mermaid is such a great example, right? Who do you think the Black Little Mermaid is for? Do you think it's for black people? No, black people are reasonably uninterested and offended by this idiot notion, but they don't want your hand-me-downs, right? They would like a seat at the table, that much I hear, right? They don't want white people hand-me-downs, right? And so the Black Little Mermaid is for the Martha's Vineyard type anti-racists, who are in fact very, very, very racist. Oh, we got to look after brown people, yes, but look after them far away from us. Ew, we don't want them close to us. Look, once you're infantilizing a group of people, that doesn't make you look good, right? That makes you look bad, right? And that's what you're doing with the Black Little Mermaid. That's what you're doing with Dr. Ruth. Yeah, you got to treat people like people, not tokens for your own self-aggrandization. Where are we up to? Well, while it's true the Doctor has always reused monsters, villains, and characters of its past in current episodes, such as the recurrence of Cybermen, Daleks, the Master, and Weeping Angels. Well, Weeping Angels only, in the modern era. This is a charming feature of the show instead of a detractor, adding continuity to the story that might otherwise struggle with an ever-rotating cast for its main character for decades of lore and decades of lore. Okay, but for these elements not to become stale and overused. Everything about the Chibnall era was stale and overused. Doctor Who, and he didn't overuse the Daleks, for God's sake. Doctor Who and they didn't really act like Daleks either, unless they were the Daleks from Dalek Invasion of the Earth. The Daleks Peter Cushing movie, which didn't act much like Daleks either. Doctor Who must always add new monsters to and plot points, like the original introduction of Weeping Angels or the Time War. What about the fearsome Tim Shaw or the Pting? Yeah, that was the whole season 11 in a nutshell. Oh yeah, what about all those things? No. Again, no, the reason you're not counting them is because they all failed. Because they're all useless. Because Chris Chibnall's a useless, talentless hack. To rejuvenate the show, but Doctor Who under Chris Chibnall always looking at the past. No, you just forgot about the things he did because they are boring and forgettable. looking at the past series to direct its points going forward. Well, he did treat it a bit like Doctor Who karaoke, didn't he? Right? Yeah, he absolutely did. Even though the two eras are very different thematically, well, you can't really say the classic era is one era, right? It's many eras. You can pretty much say that about the modern era. You got the Russell Davies and they got the Moffat era. They are filmed quite different, right? This detracted from his episodes, and the Doctor failed to provide a strong angle for future seasons to build on that doesn't actively work against the newer actors and additions to Doctor Who. Again, this is just Chris Chibnall not being able to write. Unfortunately, Chibnall's love of Doctor Who, which is clear reverence for the older canon. Again, that's like saying Hitler had a clear reverence for the Jews. Hitler and Kanye West don't have a clear reference for the Jews. And if they do, I could use that reference, reverence to be directed somewhere else, quite frankly. I don't like, really? You set it on fire, you destroyed it, you danced on its grave, you took a piss on the ashes, and then you go, oh, but he loved that thing. No, he fucking didn't! Again, nostalgia made his contribution to the 13th Doctor era on the show lackluster. No, it was his lack of ability to write. With the power of the Doctor overshadowing the current Doctor, with past Doctors and the Timeless Child constantly referring back to previous seasons, and they didn't refer back to the Timeless Child at all, did they? Chibnall's series limited the potential of what the 13th Doctor could explore. Well, then weren't you saying the Timeless Child was the bestest ever? Really? No, okay. Your boy Zach, the Comics Man, your boy Zach pointed something out recently, and I thought it was very interesting. Do you remember when you were at school in the 80s that girls hated science fiction and comic books and nerdy stuff, and they would mercilessly lambast you if you're into that? Hey, you got a comic! And then suddenly we had since the Marvel movies became big, we had this new iteration thing called fake geek girls. They're like, oh, I've always loved. No. They liked things that are popular. Right? That was it. Right? They liked things that were popular. Right? This denial of reality about basic human sexuality and identity. It's ridiculous beyond ridiculous. The way toys are made, for example, like $1 billion industry, the toy industry, is if you're making toys for boys, they got to have very, very large characters. Why? Because boys play those characters, right? They play Han Solo, they play whatever those large characteristics are. Girls, when characters have very small characteristics, because girls imagine themselves as Princess Buttercup or whatever, right? It's a fundamental way that human beings are different, that the genders are different. But this denial of basic humanity, what does it do other than not do a lot of good for society? It makes for unwatchable shit TV. A great example of that would be Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. Given Whittaker's status as the first female Doctor, this failure is genuine to be genuinely innovative is perhaps doubly disappointing. Well, we've been saying this for years, mate, right? We've been saying this for years. She was terribly cast. She was cast because she had a vagina and nothing else, and she did a terrible job at it. As such, Chibnall's approach left little that was truly unique to distinguish the 13th Doctor from her peers, other than she's going to be utterly forgotten forever, exhibiting how the showrunner's nostalgia for previous regenerations became the show's greatest flaw during his direction of Doctor Who, doing his running of Doctor Who. Well, I guess that's a fair argument. So your argument was that Chris Chibnall was shit, right? I agree with you there. Are you arguing that Chris Chibnall was shit because he loved classic Doctor Who too much? No. Chris Chibnall was shit because this is going to be a hard one for you to get your head around. Chris Chibnall was shit because Chris Chibnall is shit. I mean, why is he shit? Probably he didn't work hard enough. That's the reason that most people are shit. Another reason is I think he just went into the wrong profession. If you ever read his production notes, they're very boring, right? They're very boring, and he seems to be somebody who's much more at home with like schedules and logistics and then imagination and fantasy. Because he's just, as I said, absolutely terrible at this job. Having said that, I think the BBC are even worse. They really need to give him more work because he did exactly what they wanted, and to them to take a shit on him for that seems a bit BBC to me, right? BBC never been the most how can I put this? The most moral people in the world, have they? No, they have not. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.